It was a calm evening in the small town of Green Pines. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. Ethan, a 12-year-old boy, was riding his old bicycle through the woods, enjoying the fresh air. He always liked exploring, pretending he was a space adventurer on a secret mission. As he pedaled down a narrow path, a strange sound echoed through the trees, a loud crash, followed by the crackle of breaking branches. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. It sounded like something heavy had fallen from the sky. Curious and a little scared, he dropped his bike and crept forward, careful not to make a sound. He soon reached a small clearing. In the center, smoke was rising from a tangled mess of metal and glass. Ethan's eyes grew wide. It looked like a spaceship, small, battered, and nothing like the planes he had seen before. He could see strange symbols on the hull, glowing faintly. At first, Ethan thought he was dreaming, but then he heard a soft cry, weak and frightened. He looked closer and saw a small figure lying near the wreck. The being was about his age, but clearly not human. She had smooth blue-gray skin, large dark eyes, and delicate thin arms. Her clothes were torn, and she was bleeding from a cut on her forehead. Ethan's first instinct was to run away, but something stopped him. The girl's eyes met his, full of fear and pain, silently pleading for help. He remembered his mother's words. "If you see someone in trouble, always try to help. That's what makes us human." Ethan took a deep breath, stepped into the clearing, and slowly approached the alien child. He knelt beside her, careful to move gently. "It's okay," Ethan whispered, trying to sound calm. "I won't hurt you. My name is Ethan." The girl flinched but didn't run. Her eyes followed his every move. Ethan took off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "You're hurt. Let me help." He pulled out a clean handkerchief from his pocket, pressing it gently to her wound. The alien girl whimpered but didn't push him away. Suddenly, voices echoed in the distance. Ethan froze. He recognized them. Some older boys from town, the type who loved trouble. If they found the alien, she would be in real danger. Thinking fast, Ethan helped the girl to her feet. She was shaky, but she tried to walk. He led her through the trees, away from the crash site, and hid her behind a fallen log. The boys arrived, shouting and laughing, but soon lost interest and left. When the danger had passed, Ethan turned to the girl. "You're safe now," he said softly. "I'll take care of you, I promise." For the first time, the alien girl managed a small, grateful smile. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but he knew one thing for sure. He would protect her, no matter what. The next morning, Ethan woke up early, his mind full of thoughts about the strange girl he had saved. He knew he couldn't leave her alone in the woods. What if someone found her? What if she got hurt again? Ethan grabbed a small backpack and quietly slipped out of his house. The sun was just rising, casting a soft golden light through the trees. He made his way back to the hidden spot where he had left the alien girl. Zara was sitting quietly behind the fallen log, watching the birds in the trees. When she saw Ethan, her dark eyes brightened with a hint of hope. Ethan smiled and carefully set his backpack down. He pulled out some food, bread, cheese, and water, and offered it to her. Zara looked at the food curiously. She had never tasted anything like it. Slowly, she took a small piece of bread and ate it. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Delicious," she said in a soft voice, almost like a whisper. Ethan laughed. "I'm glad you like it. There's more if you're hungry." For the first time since the crash, Zara spoke more clearly. She told Ethan her name. It was a beautiful name that sounded like music. Zara. Ethan told her his name too. They smiled at each other, feeling a strange connection, even though they came from very different worlds. Days passed, and Ethan visited Zara every morning before school and after he returned. He taught her simple words in English and showed her how to play games he knew. Zara was a quick learner. She smiled and laughed as she caught on to the games, her fear slowly melting away. Zora told Ethan about her home planet. She spoke of shining cities in the sky, vast forests, and creatures that glowed softly at night. Ethan listened in awe, amazed by the worlds beyond Earth. He promised her he would help her find a way back home one day. But their secret friendship was not easy to keep. Ethan's best friend, Tom, noticed he was often missing or distracted. Tom was curious and asked questions, but Ethan only smiled and changed the subject. He couldn't risk anyone discovering Zora's secret. One afternoon, as Ethan and Zora sat quietly by a small stream, they heard voices nearby. Ethan's heart raced. He looked around and saw two men walking through the woods, carrying equipment that looked like scanners. "They must be looking for the crash," Ethan whispered. Zora nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Ethan grabbed her hand gently. "We have to move." They ran silently through the forest, hiding behind thick trees and bushes. The men scanned the area but didn't find them. After the men left, Ethan and Zora sat down, catching their breath. "Thank you for saving me, Ethan," Zora said quietly. "Without you, I would be lost." Ethan smiled and looked at her with determination. "I won't let anything happen to you, Zora. We're friends, and friends always protect each other." In that moment, their bond grew stronger. Two very different beings, from two different worlds, found hope and friendship in each other's company. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan and Zora's secret friendship grew stronger. They spent every moment they could together, sharing stories, learning from each other, and dreaming of a future where they could live without fear. But one afternoon, everything changed. Ethan was teaching Zora how to skip stones across a quiet lake near the woods when they noticed bright lights flashing between the trees. Slowly, a group of tall, graceful aliens stepped into the clearing. They were Zora's family. Her people had finally found her. Zora's eyes filled with tears, both happy and sad. She ran toward her family, but stopped to look back at Ethan. "You saved me when no one else would," she said softly. "I will never forget you." Ethan smiled, though his heart felt heavy. He wanted to ask her to stay, but he knew it was impossible. "I'll never forget you either," he said. "Promise me you'll be safe." Zora nodded, then reached into a small pouch she carried and pulled out a glowing stone. She handed it to Ethan. "This is a token from my world," she explained. "It will remind you of me, and one day maybe it will help us find each other again." Ethan took the stone carefully, feeling its warm light pulse softly in his hand. "I promise, Zora. I'll keep it safe." The alien family gently lifted Zora, and the small spaceship waiting nearby opened its door. Ethan watched as Zora stepped inside, waving once more before the ship lifted off, disappearing into the bright sky. For a long time, Ethan stood alone by the lake, holding the glowing stone. He felt a deep emptiness, but also a new hope growing inside him. He knew their story was far from over. Back at home, Ethan placed the glowing stone on his bedside table. Every night, he looked at it and dreamed of the day he would see Zora again. He began studying everything he could about aliens and space travel, determined to learn how to find her. Zora, too, thought of Ethan every day. She told her family stories of the brave human boy who had saved her life. She grew stronger and more confident, inspired by the kindness she had found on Earth. Though they were now worlds apart, their friendship had planted a seed of hope that one day their paths would cross again. Years passed, but Ethan never forgot Zora. The glowing stone she had given him sat on his desk like a silent promise. As Ethan grew from a boy into a young man, his curiosity about the stars and alien life only grew stronger. He spent hours reading books about space, planets, and other worlds. He dreamed of becoming an explorer, someone who could travel the galaxy and find Zora again. His friends often teased him for his big dreams, but Ethan didn't mind. He knew that one day the stars would guide him back to his friend. Meanwhile, far away on a distant planet, Zora was growing up too. She had returned home safely, but she never forgot the boy who had saved her. Zara trained to become a leader, learning about her planet's science, culture, and diplomacy. She wanted to build a better future for her people, and maybe, one day, to visit Earth again. Despite the distance between their worlds, Ethan and Zara kept a secret hope alive. Every night, Ethan looked at the stars and wondered if Zara was doing the same. He held on to the belief that friendship and kindness could cross even the greatest distances. One day, when Ethan was preparing to start university, a surprising message arrived on Earth. It was a signal from Zara's planet, a request for peaceful contact and cooperation between their species. The news spread quickly, a chance for humans to meet aliens for the first time. Ethan's heart raced. This could be his chance. He applied to be part of the first team of humans to visit Zara's world. His knowledge of alien biology and his special connection to Zara made him a perfect candidate. After careful selection, Ethan was chosen. Before he left Earth, Ethan looked at the glowing stone one last time. "I'm coming, Zara," he whispered. "We'll meet again." Zara, on her planet, prepared for the arrival of the humans. She thought about Ethan's kindness and courage, hoping that when they met again, their friendship would grow even stronger. Two lives, separated by distance and time, were about to cross paths once more. The story of Ethan and Zara was far from over. It was just beginning. The news spread fast across Earth. An official invitation from an alien world. The leaders of Zara's planet, called the Elysians, wanted to meet humanity. It was the first time in history two very different species would make contact with hopes of friendship and peace. Ethan sat in a crowded hall in New York City, surrounded by scientists, diplomats, and officials. His heart was pounding. He had dreamed of this moment for years, and now it was real. The Elysians had sent a message, and Earth was ready to answer. A tall woman in an elegant suit stepped forward. She was part of the government's first team to organize the mission. "We need people with special skills and knowledge," she said. "Ethan, your work in xenobiology and your experience with alien culture make you a perfect choice." Ethan swallowed his nervousness but stood tall. "I'm honored," he said simply. The next days were busy. Ethan trained with the team, learning about Elysian's culture and technology. Scientists showed him advanced equipment and spaceships designed for interstellar travel. Every moment, Ethan thought about Zara. He wondered if she was ready to see him again. Finally, the day came. Ethan and a group of carefully chosen humans boarded a sleek starship bound for the Elysian homeworld. The journey through space was unlike anything Ethan had ever imagined. Stars glittered outside the windows like diamonds, and the ship moved smoothly through the darkness. Ethan could hardly believe he was traveling to meet the girl who had once been a scared child in the woods. After days of travel, the starship approached a shining blue-green planet surrounded by glowing rings. The Elysian's world was beautiful and full of life. When the ship landed, Ethan's heart raced. He stepped out and looked around. Tall trees with shimmering leaves surrounded him. Strange but beautiful buildings rose in the distance, made of materials that looked like glass and metal combined. Suddenly, a familiar voice called his name. Ethan turned and saw Zara. She was taller now, wearing a flowing robe that sparkled softly. Her eyes shone with warmth and surprise. "Ethan," she said, smiling brightly. "You came." Ethan smiled back. "I promised I would." They walked together through the gardens, talking and laughing like old friends reunited. But both knew this meeting was more than just a reunion. It was the start of something new, a bridge between two worlds. The grand hall shimmered with soft lights as Ethan followed Zara through the Elysian palace. The walls were tall and curved, made of smooth crystal that changed color with every step. Aliens of many shapes and sizes walked past them, curious but respectful. Zara held Ethan's hand gently, her touch warm and reassuring. After all these years, seeing him again felt like a dream come true. Yet, a quiet worry remained in her eyes. "Ethan," Zara whispered, "our people have many rules about relationships between different species. It won't be easy for us. Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. I know, he said softly, but I want to try. For us. They reached a large room filled with Elysians waiting to meet the humans. The Elysians' leader, a wise elder named Kalen, stepped forward. His eyes studied Ethan carefully. You have come far, human, Kalen said in a deep voice, and you have shown great courage. But your desire to join our people through bond is unusual. Ethan met Kalen's gaze firmly. I respect your customs, Elder Kalen. I am willing to prove my worth and intentions. Zara squeezed Ethan's hand, proud of his bravery. The elder smiled slightly. Very well. You will face the trials of unity. If you succeed, you may become part of our society and part of Zara's life. The trials were not easy. Ethan was tested on his knowledge, patience, and kindness. He learned to understand Elysian culture more deeply and showed his ability to adapt to new situations. He helped solve problems, showed respect to their traditions, and even cared for injured Elysians during a practice exercise. Throughout the trials, Zara was always by his side, encouraging him. Their bond grew stronger as they shared both challenges and victories. One evening, after a long day, Ethan and Zara sat beneath the glowing trees in the palace gardens. Ethan looked at Zara with hope. If I pass the trials, will you stand with me? Zara smiled, her eyes shining. Always. The next day, the council gathered to announce the results. Ethan stood before them, his heart beating fast. Kalen spoke with respect. You have proven your heart is true. You honor our people and our ways. You are worthy to stand beside Zara. A cheer filled the hall. Ethan smiled, feeling a great weight lift from his shoulders. But he knew this was only the beginning. Zara stepped forward and took Ethan's hands in hers. Together, we will face whatever comes next. Ethan nodded. For us and for our worlds. As they stood united, the stars outside the palace windows seemed to shine brighter, a symbol of hope for two very different lives becoming one. With the trials of unity behind them, Ethan and Zara thought their challenges were over, but the path to their future was still full of tests, this time from both their people. On Elysia, the bond between two beings was sacred. Before Ethan and Zara could begin their life together, the elders required a final ceremony, the rite of acceptance. It was an ancient tradition meant to ensure the couple's unity and respect for their cultures. The ceremony would take place in the Grand Hall, a place filled with history and light. Ethan felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He was ready to show his commitment, but he knew this rite would test not only his love, but his understanding of Zora's world. Before the ceremony, Zora guided Ethan through the preparations. She showed him the traditional robes, the symbolic gestures, and the words he would need to learn. Ethan practiced diligently, wanting to honor her culture and prove himself worthy. When the day arrived, the Grand Hall was packed with Elysians and humans watching with curiosity and hope. The elders sat at the front, their eyes kind but serious. Zara and Ethan stepped into the center. The ritual began with a quiet chant, filling the room with a calm, powerful energy. The elders asked Ethan questions about his intentions and promises. He answered with honesty, speaking simply, but from his heart. Then came the symbolic act. Ethan had to present Zara with a gift from his world, something meaningful and personal. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the glowing stone she had given him years ago. The light shimmered softly in the hall. This stone reminds me of the promise I made, Ethan said, his voice steady. It is a symbol of our past and the future I want to build with Zara. Zara smiled, tears in her eyes. She accepted the stone, and the elders nodded with approval. But the rite was not just about words and gifts. Ethan had to demonstrate his ability to protect and care for Zara, as their lives would soon be joined. In a final test, the elders led them to a simulated challenge, an environment designed to test teamwork and trust. Together, Ethan and Zara faced the obstacles. Tricky puzzles, sudden changes, and moments that required quick thinking. They communicated silently, their bond evident to all watching. When they succeeded, the hall erupted in applause. Later, as they left the ceremony, Zora took Ethan's hand. "You have honored my people and yourself. I am proud of you." Ethan smiled, feeling stronger than ever. "We still have a long way to go, but we'll face it all together." Back in their private moments, they talked about what the future might hold. There were still many challenges: biological differences, cultural expectations, and the eyes of two worlds watching them closely. But Ethan's determination never wavered. He wanted to build a family with Zora, to create a new life that united their worlds in peace and love. The stars outside shone brightly, as if cheering them on. After the rite of acceptance, Ethan and Zora felt closer than ever. But deep inside, both knew the biggest challenge was still ahead: their future together, especially starting a family. One quiet evening, they sat on a balcony overlooking the glowing city of Elysia. The air was cool, and stars twinkled above like tiny diamonds. Ethan held Zora's hands gently, his eyes filled with hope. "Zora," he began softly, "I want to ask you something important. I want to be the father of your children." Zora looked surprised. Her eyes searched his face, then softened with warmth. "Ethan, it's not so simple. Our species are different. There are many risks, biological and social." Ethan nodded, understanding her concerns. "I know, but I believe we can find a way. Together." Zora sighed, then smiled. "You are brave, Ethan. You have already faced so much to be here." Over the next weeks, Ethan and Zora spent time with scientists and healers from both worlds. They learned about the differences between humans and Elysians, their bodies, their genes, and their ways of life. It was complicated, but there was hope. Doctors studied how their species might combine their strengths to create healthy children. They used advanced technology and ancient knowledge from Zora's people. Ethan was amazed by the dedication and care from both teams. At night, Ethan and Zora talked about their dreams. They imagined a family filled with love and laughter, children who would carry both Earth and Elysian worlds in their hearts. But there were still doubts and fears. Some Elysians worried about the union, seeing it as risky or unusual. Some humans were unsure if such a future was possible. One day, during a public meeting between the two worlds, Ethan spoke with passion. "I stand here not only for myself and Zora," he said clearly, "but for the future of understanding and unity. Love is stronger than differences. Together, we can build a new world." The crowd listened quietly, some nodding in agreement. Zora stood beside him, proud and hopeful. Their courage began to change minds. As the days passed, more support grew for their vision. Scientists made progress, and leaders agreed to help with research and acceptance. Ethan and Zora knew it would not be easy, but they were ready. They looked at each other, hearts full of determination. "No matter what comes," Zora said, "we will face it as one." Ethan smiled, squeezing her hand. "Always." The stars above seemed to shine brighter, lighting their path toward a new beginning. A future where two worlds could unite through love and family. The news of Ethan and Zora's wish to build a family together spread across both Earth and Elysia. Many watched with hope, but others were filled with doubt. Uniting two very different worlds was not easy. Scientists and leaders from both planets worked hard. They created teams to study how human and Elysian biology could come together safely. They shared their knowledge openly, hoping to find answers that could make the impossible possible. Ethan and Zora became symbols of this new hope. They traveled between Earth and Elysia, speaking to people and inspiring trust. Wherever they went, their stories showed that friendship and love could cross even the greatest divides. In Earth's cities, people watched the news about the alien planet with fascination. Some still feared the unknown, but many were curious and excited. Schools started teaching about Elysia, its people, and the possibilities for friendship. On Elysia, traditions slowly began to change. Elders who once doubted now saw Ethan's kindness and Zora's courage. Young Elysians dreamed of a future where their world and Earth could be close friends. Behind the scenes, Ethan and Zora spent long hours with scientists and doctors. They shared their stories and dreams, learning how to help the research. It was slow work, but every day brought new hope. One evening, as Ethan stood under the stars on Earth, he held the glowing stone Zora had given him so long ago. The stone reminded him of their journey, how far they had come, and how much farther they would go. Back on Elysia, Zora looked at the same stars. She thought of Ethan and the life they wanted to build, a life where their children could be free to choose their own path, no matter what world they came from. Together, they had started a movement, one that showed that unity was not just a dream, but a future waiting to be built. Though challenges remained, cultural differences, political debates, and the unknowns of biology, the two worlds began to listen to each other more closely. They worked side by side, learning and growing. Ethan and Zora believed that love was the greatest force in the galaxy. Their story was proof that with patience, courage, and hope, anything was possible. As the sun set on Elysia and Earth, two hearts beat as one. The future was no longer just a dream. It was becoming reality. The day had finally come. Ethan and Zora stood together on a peaceful hill overlooking the meeting place, where representatives from Earth and Elysia gathered. Today was the day they would celebrate a new future, one born from friendship, courage, and love. The crowd was a mix of humans and Elysians. Some faces showed curiosity, others hope, and some still held doubt. But all eyes were on Ethan and Zora, the couple who had brought two worlds closer than ever before. Ethan held Zora's hand tightly. The glowing stone from long ago rested safely in his pocket, a symbol of their journey and promise. A leader from Elysia spoke first, her voice clear and kind. Today, we witness the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where our worlds unite in understanding and respect. Then a human diplomat stepped forward. We honor the courage of Ethan and Zora, who showed us that love knows no borders. Applause filled the air. Ethan looked at Zora and smiled. They had faced so many challenges, from secret meetings in the woods to galactic trials and cultural tests. But now, they stood before two great civilizations ready to take a step forward. After the speeches, Ethan and Zora were joined by scientists and families from both planets. Together, they announced a program to support interspecies families, helping couples like them build a life with hope and care. Ethan knelt and looked at Zora with all his heart. We started as friends, strangers from different worlds. But now, we will build a family that will carry the dreams of both our peoples. Zora smiled warmly. And our children will grow knowing they are part of two great worlds, loved by many. As time passed, Ethan and Zora welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby who carried traits of both Earth and Elysia. The child's laughter was like music, a symbol of hope and unity. Their story inspired many others. More humans and Elysians reached out, wanting to learn, share, and grow together. Schools taught children about the stars and the friends beyond their worlds. Ethan and Zora worked to build bridges between their peoples, encouraging peace and friendship. They knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but they were ready, together. Looking at their child, Ethan felt a deep joy. "This is just the beginning," he whispered. Zora nodded, holding their baby close. A new beginning for all of us. Under the vast sky, two worlds had come together. And in the heart of their family, the future shone brighter than ever before.